Hi, I wanted to talk a little more about my grandmother and Delphia. Just to clarify, um, first of all, having talked about this a little, I remember now Delphia better. I mean, I haven't thought about her in many, many years. And she was very, very angry. Um, like I told you, she told me she didn't like me. When she didn't come out and say that, but she was surprised at me, and I was the little prince of the family. I was the eldest grandchild, and um, anyway, my grandmother and Delphia's relationship was fraught with all kinds of unpleasantness. But I think, well, I know my grandmother cared very much for Delphia. My grandmother, she was a racist, um, and like all racists, she had no idea. I mean, she knew she didn't like them, so, and she wasn't ashamed of it, so I guess she was just an out and out racist, I guess. But she didn't know she was being bad. Um, the thing between grandmother and Delphia, as I said, was a loan. Um, the way my grandmother told it to me, and she told it to me in front of Delphia, and it was very traumatizing for Delphia because by then Delphia and I had a good relationship, and this was something, and grandmother was trying to wreck that because she was angry. Um, During the Depression, Delphia and her husband came to my grandparents and said they wanted to buy a house and they needed the money. And so they borrowed money from grandmother and grandfather, and it was like $10,000. And a month later, they came and they made the first payment to grandmother and grandfather to pay the loan back. And then they never made another payment. And never a word was said, according to grandmother. Now, this sounds very bad, but, and at the time, I didn't think less of Delphia. Delphia said to me when grandmother did this, and Delphia was asking for a raise. And Delphia worked for my grandmother no matter, and she was angry about, this is, they couldn't pay back the loan. They couldn't do it, apparently. Um, and that's why Delphia stayed. And that she, so if they did it at the height of the Depression, Delphia died in the 70s, if I remember correctly. So for 40 years, at least twice a week, Delphia was there. And Delphia was a hard worker. My grandma was a hard worker too. I'm not saying that Delphia was in any way the maid. Yes, she was the cleaning woman, but she came in there to clean. And she did a good job, and she worked hard, and she did the things that grandmother asked her to do, and grandmother worked alongside her. Grandmother was not somebody who you came in, grandmother worked with you. If there was things to be done that she wanted to be done, she was going to do them too. Delphia was there to help. Delphia was the help, and I don't think, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that Delphia became, she didn't feel she could leave, you know, and I know now because I've been listening to Mr. Hughley on his show and other things that are going on in the world that they couldn't get loans. They weren't treated fairly. They had no recourse. They were, it was just unfair. But grandmother and I couldn't have said, if Delphia had sat us down and explained to us the way things were for African American people, we wouldn't have believed her. This was America. Everybody had a everybody had a chance. Everybody could make good. You just had to work hard. That's what I was taught. And that's what I believed. And I'm sure that's what Grandma believed too. Now, grandmother had apparently a lot of other baggage with her too. She did. But she was a good woman. My grandmother, and when Delphia got sick with cancer and didn't show up, And it took grandmother months of calling, and finally Delphia got on the phone with her after months and told her that she was sick. And she wouldn't let grandmother visit her. And I think, now I might be wrong, I think grandmother went to the funeral and it was not a good experience for her. Delphia's family was not happy to see her. And grandmother didn't understand why Delphia didn't want to see her, didn't understand why Delphia was angry. I remember when I was a small boy, I had 3 younger siblings, and they were born fairly close together, my brother and then the twins. They were like a year and 2 months apart or something like that. So they were all small, and grandmother, she didn't do this very often, but she had to go out for some reason, and during the day, and she came home and somebody had to have their pants changed, and Delphia hadn't done it. And grandmother said, "How could you do that?" And Delphia said, "I'm here to clean your house, not to wipe your grandbaby's bottoms." And grandmother was offended, and I was taken aback. Grandmother said, "How could you just leave them there?" And Delphia said, "I'm here to clean, not to babysit." And later to my mother, Delphia said, "Now, if I thought that she wasn't coming back fast, soon, of course I would have done it. For you, Marty." But she was angry with my grandmother. And she was right. She wasn't being paid to babysit us, to wipe our bottoms, to take care of us. She was there to clean, and she did a good job. But like I said, she had this stuff on her, stuff that we didn't know, that I certainly didn't know, and wouldn't have understood if she sat me down and explained it to me, because I wouldn't have believed it. Until now, until we had cameras and social media, so that I can see what's going on and know that there's crap out there. And when I listened to Mr. Hughley last night and the things that he's been saying lately, I'm now for reparations. Before it was like, we're human beings. One set of human beings has done crappy things to another set of human beings since the first 2 people stood upright. And I thought, well, when the Irish got here, they were crapped on. When the Italians got here, they were crapped on, and they're white. I bet you they can get reparations. But now that I hear it, but you should start with slavery, yes, but you should push over and over again how unfair you're treated. Now, how hard it is to get loans, how you have to jump through extra hoops to do everything. That's why now, all these years after slavery is over, you're treated like that. That's why you deserve the reparations. That's what I think anyway. All right. That's what I wanted to say.